Hello everyone, I'm just going to do a quick video this afternoon just to show you the box of estate jewellery I received from America today. I get the large priority box and it's around 20 pounds in weight, and it's filled with vintage bangles, bracelets, necklaces, rings, everything, and newer pieces as well. Now this box did have quite a few newer pieces than what I usually get. I usually get a lot more vintage in my boxes, but I can still sell newer pieces as well. In the box I did pull out all the pendants. These are just all pendants with no chains, and I really like to receive pendants because quite often I find lots of sterling silver pieces, and in my last box I got back in October I found a few gold crucifixes that were stamped 14 carat for one and 18 carat for the other one. So sometimes you get lucky, find some gold. Usually more often it's sterling silver. So it's always good to look through that and test the pieces I'm not too sure about. Now I was going to show you a couple of my vintage pieces that I've found so far. I haven't gone through the whole box yet. It's usually a whole night to get through that box and to sort it out into little bags. What I do is I just get these little zip bags or clip bags, and I put them into the lots that I'm going to list them on eBay, and then as I have time I just grab a few bags each day, take photos and get them up that night. So some vintage pieces that I have found so far, and I'm just going to tell you a few reasons why I do know they're vintage, because I've had quite a few questions on YouTube asking me to make a video to show you how I determine if something's vintage or not. But I've been selling vintage jewellery since I was 19 on eBay, and I'm 29 this year in August. So I've been doing it for quite a while, and it's taken me a long time to be able to tell if something is vintage or not. Now this piece here is stamped Monet, and I do know it's a vintage piece because I've sold the same design many times before. I won't be selling that one by itself. I'll be putting that one up in a group lot. Just quickly looking through the box, I have found two vintage Trifari pieces, Trifari, and these ones have the word Trifari and the crown, which you can't see on this camera, sorry, but the crown is above the T. It's a capital T with a crown above it. And this is just a line astrological pendant. It's on the chain, and the chain appears to be original to the pendant. It's that chain clasp there. That's one type of vintage clasp. Clasps are a good way to look at a piece to see if it is vintage, because a few newer pieces now are made with different clasps that they didn't use back in the day when they were making jewelry. So that's a good sign good thing just to check out to see if it is vintage or not. So that's one Trifari piece I got, and I also got this other one, an incredibly long necklace. It's silver tone metal. It's in excellent condition. I'll be putting this one up for $15 by itself, starting bid, and this one will be $15 starting bid by itself as well. I actually need to check my collector's books with this one because it just looks familiar to me. So I could have seen it on a website or in one of my collector books. Another vintage piece, you would have seen lots of these ones before. Looks like it's from the 50s, could be the 50s or the 60s. Just a nice beaded piece. I'll be putting that in a group lot. I don't tend to bother with listing those ones by themselves. You don't tend to get too much for them. I just put them in big group lots. Now this is a vintage piece here. It's a different clasp. Like they do use these clasps nowadays as well with newer jewellery, but this is a good sign it is a vintage piece. And this one is lightweight. It's not a heavy piece like some other vintage pieces can be. It is a lighter weight piece. But you can see the chain here. It kind of reminds me of the Western Germany jewellery. If something's stamped W.Germany, they were known to have lightweight pieces, like long chains, but they're very light to hold. Just another rhinestone piece here, and there's another clasp that they use on vintage jewellery. Okay. Just found an interesting perfume locket here. But I don't know if this one, I'll show you this way. I don't actually know if this one's vintage or not. It opens up. But to me, that doesn't look vintage. Like, it is all marked here with wear, but to me that doesn't look vintage. I need to do a little bit of research on this and just go over it with my magnifying glass, see if there's any stamps on it. So, and another perfume locket piece I received was this Estee Lauder piece. Now, I know this piece is from the 70s. I've actually had this piece before. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, probably even longer now actually. Yeah, quite a while ago I had this locket piece here, and stamped Estee Lauder on the inside. If I can open it. So it's stamped Estee Lauder there. And you can see a little bit of the perfume that used to be there. So all of that would have been covered in perfume. It's called Perfume Lockets. Now they still make different types of these lockets today, but this design here is from the 1970s. Because when I've previously sold this piece, I did research on it. It's from the 70s, and I actually got a really good price on it on eBay. It sold for 40 something. But I'm not selling that because I always regretted selling my locket, and I'm going to keep that one there. So that one's special to me because the little bit of perfume that's left in it is actually the same perfume my late grandmother used. So I'll wear that and I'll always remember her because it smells just like her. Couple of other different vintage ones, just long chains here. And these ones here, I'll usually put a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 necklaces, the same sort of length and chunky, because it's chunky, links. I'll put a few of them together, start at 15, and they sell very quickly for me on eBay. Some rhinestone necklaces. Now, I know this one might appear to be vintage to start with. This little one here. It's got that hook that I showed before. Okay, I got excited thinking, oh, this one looks vintage. But then closer inspection here, the rhinestones, they're all just stuck in together and they're all sticking together. They're not actually separated. And the back here, that's not how they've done the back. They made the backs for the vintage pieces. So the backs of the vintage pieces would actually, you'd see the rhinestone back in the one in the middle. It wouldn't just be smooth silver. So that's a newer one there. There are a couple of vintage ones, like this one here is vintage. See, they all move freely. It's a good sign. The clasp's a good sign as well. Sorry if the quality's bad. I haven't got good light in here this afternoon. And the clasp there. So there's a few vintage rhinestone necklaces there and a few that aren't vintage. What I tend to do if I don't have enough vintage pieces, I put a big group lot of vintage and newer rhinestone earrings, necklaces, big group of them, maybe 20 pieces, and I could get $50, $60 for that. So it's a good easy way to make a good bit of money. Here's another vintage necklace. It's very long. I've actually folded it all. So folded over, very light and weight, and there's the clasp there. You've got to unscrew that one. So that's a vintage piece. Now, always in estate sale boxes that I do get, I find things that I have no idea what they are. This one here is a necklace, but it is stamped Yoshi, Y-O-C-H-I. I haven't heard that brand before, so I need to do a bit of research on that. I know it's not vintage, but I don't know what that brand is, so I need to do some research on that piece there. Now I found a Betsey Johnson necklace. It's stamped the BJ, and it's quite interesting. It's got these little charms on it. Well, not charms, sorry, the beads have got all this writing on it. That says XOX Betsey. That one says Betsey Johnson, the Eiffel Tower. And this Betsey again. Okay, a few different pieces, and Betsey Johnson always sells very well for me because in Australia there's not many sellers who sell Betsey Johnson on eBay. I'm actually not too sure if you can, whereabouts you can purchase Betsey Johnson in Australia. I haven't seen it in shops before. Here's just a newer costume piece. You can see the clasp here. It's a bit thicker than the vintage clasps. I don't really see vintage clasps like this either, and I don't really see vintage pieces with this little bowl and the extension chain to make the necklace longer or shorter. I don't really see that on vintage pieces. Sarah Coventry does have extension chains, but it's a bit of a chain, a circle, chain, and then the clasp. So that's something else to look out for there. This piece here, once again, this one's not vintage. You can just tell by the quality of the metal. Once you start feeling vintage and newer jewelry, you can really tell the quality of the metal. Now, if it was a newer piece that was at a higher price point, the metal would be better quality than, say, a cheaper piece, but I know straight away that's not vintage, that's a newer piece. Whereas this one here, you can feel the metal, it just feels more durable, I guess. It just feels, it is a heavier chain, but it doesn't always have to be heavier. It just feels more quality in that chain. And another newer piece here, with that clasp, same sort of clasp, and the chain. I don't know, I can just tell that is a newer piece. You know, it's not the best quality compared to vintage pieces. If you're around vintage jewelry a lot, you can just tell the cheaper pieces, the quality is not there. Alright everyone, I better try and get some of this listed before it is getting too dark to take the photos outside, and my son's asking me for some water, so I better go and get him refill his cup up and get a cooler drink for him. And I hope everyone's having some good sales on eBay and some good finds out and about at garage sales and thrift stores and different things. Alright everyone, thank you for watching. Bye.